So how did Oleksandr Usyk yet again beat the fight out of Daniel Dubois, except this time much quicker? Well, it's because all that improvement that Daniel had supposedly attained was an illusion. And Usyk, being a cerebral fighter that he is, already had his number. So this wasn't round one of the rematch like they posited. This was the next one. What did he stop him in 10, 11? I be forgetting. Let me take a bite of papaya over here. So, this was one of the easiest fights to predict ever. The only thing that gave me pause was corruption. Not even the judges, because, well, I picked Usyk to stop this fool in 8 rounds. And if Daniel was going to win, it was going to be by some BS stoppage, I thought. And that's the thing that gave me pause, right? The referee allowing Daniel Dubois to foul, and that somehow helping Daniel Dubois. But I was even wrong about that. Even though I did say that Usyk was going to adjust to the fouling and be able to do something about it, I didn't expect him to completely shut it down. And that was a big reason why he took Daniel's heart away. So, again, the only improvements that Daniel made was juice up, put on maybe 10 pounds of muscle and a couple more pounds of fat, if you will, and fight a lot dirtier with a lot more reckless abandon, which weren't really improvements, because if you take his weight into consideration, he was already at about 230 lean, right? He was already very top heavy with not chicken legs, but the legs, they don't really match the body. You know what it is. Some of them African genes. So he already had poor balance, because he was like a toddler with a huge oversized head, right? And they keep falling all the goddamn time. So when he added more weight, and mostly up top, because them legs still chicken, Usyk's legs are significantly thicker if you pay attention. That only worsened his balance. And it showed in this fight. And that was one big reason why I picked Usyk and told you he was going to walk him into counters, because Daniel can't put one foot in front of the other. He just falls off balance. He can't stay on balance when he is forced by, pressure from the public or his trainers to just come forward. He's more of a standoff boxer, guy that advances slowly. He doesn't have very good feet. So if you watch that first round closely, just the first minute, maybe not even, on his first advance, Daniel Dubois gets frozen by an Usyk feint, right? Demons! They were right there. The very first thing Usyk did as Daniel came forward in his first attempt to do so, Usyk froze him up with a feint. And then, like on the second attempt, Daniel came forward, Usyk cracked him with a hard jab. Something like that. Like right away, right off the bat, Usyk took the play away from him. So then Daniel Dubois, because he can't stay on balance and advance forward on a guy like Usyk because his feet are too slow, right? So to use his range and box properly while coming forward, he's so slow, Usyk will walk him into punches all night. Just like much slower Philip was just walking him into punches all night, right? So then Daniel had to start falling off balance to get at Usyk, because his feet wouldn't be able to get him there. It was too telegraphed. But then once he's falling off balance, he's a sucker for hard counters, and he's falling into the counters. So that's what happened. So Daniel Dubois, anytime he tried to get a foothold in the fight by landing something, Usyk was able to shut that down and hit him better. Anytime Daniel Dubois had a little bit of success, Usyk came right back. Or when Daniel had some success in that third round, or even other rounds, but most notably the third round. Can you imagine? I'm hearing people gave Daniel Dubois the first and the third round. I mean, like, I'm sorry, you don't have to like my scorecards, but like, why? You know what I mean? Why? It's incredible. The fact that the majority, I would have to say, of the boxing public just can't score fights. It's just incredible. Anyway, off my tangent, my high horse. So even when Daniel Dubois had a little bit of success, it was fleeting because when Daniel was able to maybe even lunge in or catch Usyk bouncing or punch with Usyk and not really win exchanges, but hit him good enough where his balls started growing and he started feeling himself and his confidence was all of a sudden back to, 100%, if you want to say that. Usyk just gave him lateral movement. Usyk just started moving, right? So when Daniel had some success because he stayed on balance and waited for Usyk to make a mistake before he popped him and took advantage of Usyk being out of position, Usyk would immediately give him lateral movement, which forced Daniel Dubois to try to move with Usyk, which forced him to fall off balance or not get to the spot first. And then Usyk would pop him with something. Daniel would lose a little bit of confidence. He would settle down, stop advancing, meaning he was a sitting fucking duck. And then Usyk just went to work, started hitting him with good punches, backing him up, taking his confidence away. Or if Daniel Dubois was too confident because he had hit Usyk, and Usyk was playing possum all night. And he would come forward, Usyk would stop and drop and hurt him, stun him. It just made his balls shrink. There was an instance, fourth round was a pivotal round, right? Because Daniel Dubois was starting to get broken down, most notably mentally, and he was getting a little stunned by some of these shots from Usyk. And plan A and plan B wasn't working, right? Boxing on balance, being more of a classical long-range boxer, wasn't working. Coming forward, falling off balance, plan B2 wasn't working. He went to game plan C, fouling. So he started blatantly headbutting in the fourth round that people just don't see headbutts, man. It is what it is. Unless it's like someone gets headbutted and cut, then they start noticing the shit. I don't know what it is, but people just don't see headbutts. Watch that fourth round again carefully. Daniel Dubois starts using his head, right? Usyk started grabbing that head, pushing it down. At one point, he put his gloves to protect his face from the headbutt, but Daniel was able to hit him to the body, right? That's how he opened him up to the body. And then Usyk was pivoting and getting off the line when Daniel was coming in with his head. And then, in one instance, when Daniel Dubois headbutted him to the chest, because Usyk had grabbed control of that head, pulled it down, I think right before or right after that head, right before that head coming in, Usyk showed him the uppercut. He missed or maybe just grazed him and then pulled his head down. Somewhere in that sequence. I don't remember exactly. And then when Daniel Dubois pushed him off, right? So Daniel, who's coming in and looking to use his head, he wants to close that distance on Usyk, right? Because of Usyk's adjustment, all of a sudden he's pushing off. He doesn't want to be in there, right? That was to me a sign of him cracking, breaking down mentally, right? This guy's shutting down your inside dirty tactics, and all of a sudden you don't like it on the inside, right? And another very important thing happened after Daniel came in with that head and headbutted him on the chest. Usyk dipped his head down, like kind of nodded to him, basically showed him, I see what you're doing, right, with your head, and then showed him the uppercut, right? He was communicating to him, come in with that head again, you're going to be eating my uppercuts. And after that, Daniel Dubois didn't throw a headbutt till like the beginning of the fifth round, I think. He just stopped headbutting. He just didn't want it anymore, right? Usyk shut that down. Then there was the instance where Daniel Dubois low-blowed Usyk with the same low blow as in that first fight where Usyk took a knee or went down to the canvas. And Usyk obviously motioned to him, keep your punches up, and smiled at him. And I have to imagine that was very demoralizing to Daniel Dubois, because he landed that same peach perfect, grazed the nuts, and landed below the belt line. And Usyk just smiled at him, right? He didn't go down. And Usyk was backing away from Daniel Dubois. There was one instance, he did this quite a bit, but one instance was very blatant where Daniel, it looked like he landed an uppercut, but it really just grazed Usyk, and Usyk acknowledged it as if it were a good shot and started backing away, making Daniel Dubois' confidence grow so that he could walk him into some shit, right? That uppercut didn't land, but Usyk gave him credit, right, and started backing away, and Daniel pursued. So Usyk was playing possum, walking him into punches. And after that low blow didn't have the desired effect, or Usyk just smiled at him, and also the headbutt game got shut down, I tweeted something along the lines of low blow, dirty tactics aren't working, Daniel is about to wilt. And then in the fifth round, he came out he was boxing, standing off, and obviously that didn't work. So then he started falling off balance and also using his head, and that didn't work. Then he just got desperate. And started coming in and swinging with reckless abandon. He just threw all caution to the wind, put Usyk on the ropes. And as he landed, I think, a right hand on Usyk walked him into a counter right hook. And right after that, Daniel fell forward and started holding Usyk. But then Daniel threw, I think, the right hand again, and Usyk hit him with the two-piece. One hand just kind of jerked his head a little bit, jostled his head, but also grazed. And I think he followed up with the right hand that didn't look all that powerful, and Daniel just took a knee. Because I think he got hurt, and he tried game plan A, game plan B, B+, or B2. And Usyk was just systematically shutting that down and punishing him for it. And he just took away his heart. So Daniel, because it was going to be a different Daniel this time, right? Supposed to be anyway. There was all this pressure on him. He got up and he just said, fuck it. Let me try to land a Hail Mary. And in the film study that DAZN took down, I showed you how stupid that was. To punch with a guy who has much better punch technique, and you don't have any defense when you punch. And so Usyk landed the best punch of both fights that legitimately hurt Daniel Dubois down. But he could have gotten up. He just quit once again. Like he always does when you show him that when he doesn't get a foothold in the fight by hook or by crook, and Usyk shut both down very efficiently, he just wilts. And no amount of steroids, muscle mass, pep talks, losing his virginity, none of that shit's gonna, I think, ever change the fact that the guy just has quit in him. So I hate using this word because it's so we won't go there. Anyway, this was a very good performance by the King of London. Give me Joe Parker next.